Guide. This is Metric Monday. It's time to revisit slotted screwdrivers. A while back, many weeks ago, I introduced you to this 1/4-inch drive socket, which has a 10mm wide by 1.6mm thick slotted screwdriver bit. And I went with this because the only insert bit I could find with those dimensions was too thick for any of the slots in this toolkit and too short to fit in this slot, which is meant for power bits. It just doesn't stick, and that meant I could either had to leave it sticking out like that or like that, and that just doesn't fly. So I went with that bit. And let's put that back so it doesn't get in the way. But today's task is to flesh out my toolkit with the other size of M6 slotted screwdriver, which is 8mm wide by the same thickness of 1.6mm. And in a departure from my usual method of adding just one bit, I'm looking at 3 different types of slotted bits for 1.6 by 8mm. We have the insert bit, the power bit, and the socket bit. And I'm not really sure which of these I want to use in this kit. So I'll walk you through my selection process. I already have this. Because I know that's the only size that fits in this particular toolkit. And so I'm going to relegate that to another toolkit. And then the easy choice is to just do another socket bit. This one is from Gidor. I'm not sure the right way to pronounce that. My German teachers would kill me. So that's easy. It's got the same problem though. It sticks out beyond the thickness of this toolkit. But it has the advantage of not forcing me to remove any of my existing bits. Kind of the obvious one would be to remove either the Phillips or the PositDrive, since I have both of these as insert bits, and replace them with the power bit. But I'm kind of not wanting to do that because I've had two ways of thinking about what goes in this toolkit in these particular slots, because the power bits can be inserted into a drill, and so that I can, one method of choosing would be put the bits in here that can take full advantage of the high torque of that driver type. And that would knock out Phillips and leave me with 2 different Torx Plus and PositDrive. And then this slides right in there. That's the easy choice, but practically Phillips is still the most common, and sometimes I just can't get into certain recessed screw heads with that, or even with the extension. And the solution to that is to just keep the power bit around, because then I don't have the extra diameter of that barrel adapter. So I think that means I'm going to keep I'm not going to use this because if I put this in place of the PositDrive, then if I'm screwing something that needs PositDrive and all I have is the insert bit, well, I have the same problem I do pulling the Phillips out and replacing it with the slotted bit. But then I also can't use that as easily in a power drill or driver. Even though I have this, I have that same problem of the increased barrel thickness. So I think I'm just going to leave those two for now. I might change my mind later. So that leaves me with these two bits, and I could take out the, boy, I've even forgotten the name of this. The one most oddball screwdriver bit I have in here is the offset cruciform, which is, it's a number 6 something. It's actually from the Phillips Screw Company, and this is the one that aircraft mechanics hate, detest, and call it the Nazi bit because it looks like, kind of like a swastika. But because I actually want to get into airplanes and designing and building my own, I really want to keep the aircraft bits in this toolkit. So, and I don't see any other obvious bits that I can pull out that are infrequently used that I don't want to give up to get a crappy slotted bit in. And yes, slotted drives are pretty visually, but they're crappy to use in real life. So I think that means my choice is going to remain with that. And, so that's the first choice. That's the first part of today's video. Second part is, let's use these bits that I have decided to eschew. We'll put the insert bit away, and we'll focus on the two different sizes of bits here. So the normal size slotted drive for a number 6, for an M6 screw, is 10 millimeters wide. So you'll see this fits quite nicely. It doesn't quite, no, it does bottom out. It maybe 1/10 of a millimeter away from bottoming out, but that's a good fit. I will accept that fit as proper. So we're done with that. No, let's put the 8 millimeter bit in. I could turn it with this, but then it would be more difficult to keep it centered, to visually keep it centered, and it's not the right size. I'm giving up some leverage there. So let's set that aside. The next size screw is a panhead screw, and this, let's go back to the 10 millimeter bit. This works, and it's just about, it's a little bit hanging over, but I think really the right size bit for this is the 8 millimeter bit. And that's not too bad. The reason I think the 8 millimeter is required for this type of head is because some of these will be recessed into a counterbore, and the 10 millimeter bit probably won't go through the counterbore hole to let you recess these fully. So that's why I need that. And then we have these from a previous video. I already know this won't fit, but let's just emphasize the point that 10 millimeters is too wide for this. And we'll try 8. And, well, it kind of fits, but not really straight in. This recess is not well formed. So, naughty machinist or engineer that spec'd the slot for this, it kind of fits, but these are always going to be recessed 1/2 inch or 1 inch into a piece of furniture, and that's too close a fit for you to line the screwdriver up blindly. So I'm going to call that a fail, not of the screwdriver design, because this is done according to ISO standards. This is somebody's intern project. So that leaves us with a product we used last week. This is a threaded insert for M6 screws, and with the 8 millimeter wide driver, yeah, it fits the width of the slots, but it doesn't engage both slots. And so I think the proper size for this is 10 millimeters, but it's sticking out over the edges of the minor diameter of the threaded insert. So again, this won't let you recess this into the hole so the insert is flush. And I find that frustrating because it would have been easy to design this insert so that a standard M6 screwdriver could be used. But instead, and maybe this is a good thing, you need to use this special tool, which has the ball detent, and let's get these lined. Probably, let's call it 8.5 to 9 millimeter slotted bit. Pardon for the sneezes. I'm not set up to do editing yet, so I'm doing all of these videos in one take. So that's a good explanation of why I need this specialty bit. Aside from the fact that using the threaded bit I showed you last week doesn't let you remove these inserts. So then we have we have 3 more screws left. This you've also seen in a different video. This was sold to me as an M6 drywall insert, but it turns out to be a 1/4-20. And as you can see, the 10 millimeter wide slotted screwdriver bit does not fit because it's too wide, but oh yeah, and the 8 millimeter wide slotted bit kind of fits, not quite. And this is another reason I'm convinced that this was designed as 1/4-20 first and then adapted to M6 for the European market. And that's frustrating. So I bet to use this, I would need to get a US customary inch-based screwdriver, which I really don't want to have to do. So that's going to be another video in that series on that. And then we have the other kind of traditional drywall insert. And this, I'm guessing someone also developed this as a 1/4-20. In fact, I think the markings on it, 6/14. I think someone developed this as a M6/14 US screw based molly bolt, and then used the screw head forming system that was designed for a number 14 screw, which has different dimensions than an M6 slotted screw. And so while a number 3 Phillips bit fits in here, which is the correct size driver for an M6 screw, neither the 10 millimeter or 8 millimeter slotted bits fit this. And we have the same problem with these jack nuts. Even though the screw is obviously got a different shape head, I can kind of fit this in there, but it doesn't bottom out. You can see it's not well centered. And yeah, it's engaging like 1/10 of a millimeter, so these two fail. And I was frustrated when I discovered that, beyond frustrated, because there are specifications for all of these bits, and some people do not like reading specifications. That's going to be a recurring theme on this channel. So I have my answer for which bits I'm going to use. I'm going to keep the slotted socket bits, and we'll use these other bits in a future project toolkit. That's all I have on this topic today. This is PetesGuide. closing down.